Father said, marriage is very important for society in general and for the world. And we as Christians understand and realize this in a very special way. For as St. Paul tells us that the relationship of a husband and a wife mirrors the relationship of Jesus Christ and his church. That in fact, in the marriage ceremony, we hear the first reading from St. Paul's letter. And he says, "Husband, love your wives like Christ loves the church." This is really element for marriage. That it is, Christ didn't love his church by sending us candy and flowers. He died for us. And this sacrificial element in marriage is really what we have to offer the world, and for them to understand that marriage is not a compromise, but in truth, a sacrifice. And it's not a sacrifice in the very negative connotations either. Again, the media would have us believe that marriage is either flippant as long as we're in love, or else it's something to be tolerated, and ball and chain, we hear concepts. And we know, and we can see, those of you who are now celebrating these special anniversaries, speak to the world and to the church in general, that marriage doesn't have to be that. It can be a lifelong commitment. Again, as Father said, we have a couple here who are married for 70 years. And we pray that you too will have the privilege of living that long together. But we know that there are many people who, one or the other, have deceased before that time. And even in a short time, have shown us this kind of commitment, this kind of sacrifice that is so essential. And so, as Father said, last year we did have a very special focus on marriage. And somebody said, well, now that that's over, we don't have to deal with marriage anymore. Well, we know that people are continuing to get married. And they're going to need models of marriage like you. And they're going to need the church to emphasize the beauty of marriage, of a man and a woman for a lifetime. There is someone, recently I read an Orthodox writer was saying that this whole notion of same-sex marriage, that the church should keep its nose out of this, that this has nothing to do with the church. Because if they don't get married in church, it's not a marriage anyway. Well, the church acknowledges, our church acknowledges the fact that some people don't have the blessing of being a member of our church. And so we don't deny these other marriages, even secular marriage, for those who have no faith. That these are marriages, but there is something very special about being married by a priest. This sacramental element. And yes, this is like a special higher level, deeper level as well. And those of you who know this need to teach the world about it, about the opportunity for us all. The freedom of those who would want to redefine marriage today, grows from a beginning where divorce worked its way in to a point where it is not the exception, but in general a norm. You know, you live together as long as you can, and then you get divorced and you marry someone else, and that's the norm today in many circles. And that's such a shame. We all know that there are situations of people who would love to be married for 25 years now, but for whatever circumstances, and we're not here to judge them, it didn't happen. Over this year we have a number of 25-year marriages, but we, in the last few years, have had more 50ths than 25s. Because those of you who were married 25 years ago were married in a culture that basically said, as long as you are in love, whatever that means. And we would say the same thing, that you remain married as long as you are in love. But what does St. John say? He says, God is love. And so as long as your feet are firmly planted on God, that marriage will last. And so again, last year was something special for marriage, but this year we're going to keep thinking of it, but extend it a little. And we're going to look at where that marriage extends, and certainly that is the family. Many of you have children, and you know that your marriage has affected your family. That the fact that you are in love with your husband or wife extends to the way the family grows. And here too, you know, nobody's out to judge those members of our families who have fallen astray. But I remember Pope Paul VI stating, he said, the best thing you can give your children is, husband, fathers, the best thing you can give your children is to love your wife. That is the beginning, this union of the husband and wife. And then it does extend to the family, and it extends to the parish, and it extends even beyond that to society in general. Society in general, our economic problems today, in a way, are really dependent or resulting from a breakup of the family, a breakup of marriage. And so we're going to keep trying to teach the world, and especially our own society here, the beauty of marriage and the necessity of it. And so again, this year, we've extended that. We're going to talk about this together, building God's kingdom, both from the area of family, but also parishes and church in general. We're going to look at the monasteries. We have a monastery not far from here in North Royalton, who are hidden away, 2 elderly nuns now only. But those 2 nuns, in their prayer, in that unified prayer, have done much for all of us. Many of us have never met them, probably never saw the monastery, it's kind of hidden away. But they have done, and they can also witness to us what it means to be together in God's kingdom. We have a monastery kind of in its infancy stages out in Geauga County, Barberton, that also, it's actually called Christ the Bridegroom. And it is looking at, or the flavor of the monastery, if you will, focuses on that nuptial relationship between Christ and the church. Christ is the bridegroom, the church the bride. This is a beautiful image. And again, they're going to take this concept and live their vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience in such a way that they unify together as well to witness to us all the importance of the faith dimension in our family lives and in our parish lives. So I congratulate all of those of you who are celebrating these special anniversaries, and I ask you and challenge you to take what you have, a great gift, a blessing, and share it with the world so that the young may know what a good marriage is and how it will in fact go through some difficult times, some major challenges, but to know where to turn when those challenges come. Monsignor Tay in Pittsburgh always told the story. He said that some friend of his was celebrating a 50th anniversary, and he asked her, he said, "Did you ever think of getting a divorce?" And she said, "Oh, Father, never. Killing him? Never divorce." There are challenges, and you know them, and nobody's going to deny them. We are two very different people coming together with the blessing of God, and only with that blessing can the two become one. And again, I congratulate you and wish you many, many more years.